Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming to join the family and friends of Jimmy Herbener. Very special person to really all of us in this pavilion, and it's a pavilion where we enjoyed a lot of highs together, a few lows together, as all of us in the horse business will know. It's not always high. I'm Boyd Browning, and I'm going to be brief in my comments because I got an all-star lineup following me. So just as a moment of introduction, when I was reflecting and honestly trying to figure out how to kind of appropriately begin this celebration and this discussion, what was astonishing to me is Jimmy's connection to all of us at Fasig-Tipton. Not just me. I mean, I was like way down in the food chain in terms of the origin of the relationships and the depth of the relationships. But it's a tribute to Jimmy when I was literally trying to make a few notes and a few comments of the depth of the relationship. It really starts with Bain and Libby Welker, Bain Sr. and Libby, and obviously with Bain, great friends for a number of years. And Bill Graves and Jimmy were just, amazing friends from their days in Virginia together and coming to Kentucky together and enjoying a wonderful, wonderful friendship there. Dennis Lynch was a great friend of Jimmy's. Max, Evan, myself, hell, we've all. Jimmy kept horses for us, and he raised horses for us, and he sold horses for us. And it wasn't because he was an exceptional horseman, which he was, as everybody in this room knows. I don't, with all due respect to the talented men and women in this pavilion today, nobody in here is any better than Jimmy Herbener about raising a horse and taking care of a horse and knowing what to do with the horse. Now, a few of you might be close, but I hate to tell you, none of y'all are better. I mean, that's just the way of life. And he was an exceptional horseman, but that's not the reason we did business with him. We loved Jimmy. He was our friend. He told us the truth. Boyd, you've bred another shitty horse. And I don't know what you're going to do with this one, but I swear I wish you'd buy a little bit better looking mare because I don't like looking at ugly horses and I don't like looking at ugly mares. Okay, Jimmy. I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I can on a pretty limited budget, but it truly is amazing the how much and if you all know us at Fasig-Tipton, we're a pretty diverse group, and Jimmy was all of our friend. He'd fight you for any of us, and I know we would fight you for Jimmy, and we love the relationship. Our heart's broken for Kathy and for Heather and the grandchildren. And, I would ask you to keep them very much in your thoughts and prayers, not today, but tomorrow and next week and then the next week, because they're going to need our love and our support and our help in that regard. And we're going to need help from the man upstairs to help them get through this difficult period of time. And I tried to, in my own mind, like, how do I characterize, or what word best describes Jimmy Herbener to me? And I looked it up in the dictionary. The one that kept coming back to me was the word respect. And it's respect, according to Webster's, is a feeling of admiring someone that is good, valuable, important, and etc. And I think that, the greatest compliment you can probably give someone is to respect them. And because respect is earned. And Jimmy, he didn't want no freebies. Jimmy didn't, he really didn't care how you felt about him. He was going to do the right thing every day, every circumstance. He was a respected horseman, obviously. More importantly, he was a respected father. He was a respected husband. He was a respected person of this community, the Thoroughbred community, and our entire community in Kentucky and around the world. And I think that's obvious to those that know him, and you know, I share in your all's pain. But at the end of the day, the respect that I have for Jim and the Herbener family is immense, as I know everybody in this room has the same thing. And as I said, respect is about the highest compliment you can give to a human being, and I think all of us in here have a deep and wonderful respect for Jim Herbener. So I'd like to have Mr. Landis come up next, please.
I think I'm the newest of the Herbener fold. I think Libby and John, probably Bain or Boyd, knew him longer than me. But around 25 years ago, I noticed a quiet, seemingly humble but successful consignor at Kentucky Sales named James M. Herbener. He impressed me. Now, I didn't know him, but I observed him as a quiet, way too serious guy. So I sent him a horse of mine or so and took the challenge to get to know him and get him to smile and laugh. Now, I love a challenge like that. That's me. So over 20 years, I did such a good job of that when I came to him into his eyesight, him sitting on that director's chair back here, he would just shake his head at me and smile, and that would just please me no end. I would tease him about Heather's dramatic flair for showing horses. You haven't lived till you've seen Heather whip her cape off in the back walking ring to show a weanling or a yearling, and that used to just tickle me. I would tease him every Sunday morning about filling 15 5-gallon cans with gas at Southern States and driving his pickup home. He was a moving Molotov cocktail. And you know, if someone would have hit him, that would have been the end of Georgetown. It's up, it's gone. I love seeing him at Stallion Barns with Kathy. He was the most critical judge of a stallion that I knew. I often accused him of not liking Coca-Cola. I would listen to him tell me about what it meant to hear the grandkids coming through the screen door at home at night. I listened to the blow-by-blow account of Patrick's settlement, and I told Jimmy how it was going to turn out. He didn't believe me. The hard-headed would not believe me. It did. I listened to him talk about dogs and hunting, as we all probably have. So in the winter of 2019, we had an immature yearling left over from Ed Cox's dispersal. So I'm not bringing one weanling from Hermitage over to Jim. So gave it to him for Fazig February. And of course, Sean and Bob Feld steal him for $17,000. Colt gets named Hot Rod Charlie. Takes 4 starts to break his maiden, okay. But at 90-1, he jumps up and runs second in the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Jim, you ought to take an ad. Nah, I don't think so. Okay. In March, he wins the Louisiana Derby. Jim, you're going to take an ad now. Nah. In May, Hot Rod runs a good third in the Kentucky Derby. Jimmy, surely to God you're gonna. Don't think so. Now, I knew I had a real hard-headed Dutchman on my hands because I'm one myself. I know daggone well what I was dealing with. So in June he gets beat a zap in the Belmont. Jim, I'll pay for the ad. Back to, nah, I don't think so. Now, that was it. On September 18th, I was driving home from the Keeneland September sales, and I said to myself, why didn't I stop and visit Jim today? I got to do it tomorrow. And that was a day too late, and it's going to pain me forever. But the next Saturday, Hot Rod won the Grade 1 Pennsylvania Derby. And guess what? Jim got a TDN bullet ad in his colors, and he got a call out in a half-page ad, and he finally gets the recognition that we all know he deserves. Thank you.
going to be very hard. I'm Libby Welker, and I'm going to talk about our friendship. It goes back many, many decades when Jimmy and Kathy lived in Virginia, and we lived in North Carolina. Jimmy was a man of very few words, but actions spoke much louder than his words, and I can attest to that. A number of years ago, we were at the sales, had one yearling left to sell. Chris and Possum were at the ring with the yearlings, and I was left with this one yearling. I had nobody. I was hoping that they would come back and take this yearling. I couldn't call Bain or Burke because they were working for other farms, so I was left on my own. Well, I put the shank on the yearling and headed to the sales ring. Coming down the hill, I see Jimmy heading back to his barn. I can still see that twinkle in his eye and the big grin on his face. The first words out of his mouth were, "I wish I had a camera." I'm so glad he didn't have a camera. And then he offered to take the yearling to the sales, and he saved the day for me. And another time, just a few years ago, I was visiting mutual friends in Florida, and I'd been there a day, and I noticed that one of our friends was not doing very well. I called Jimmy and Kathy and told them. Within 10 minutes, Jimmy called back. He said, "We are on our way." They drove all night to visit our friend, to spend 5 hours, have lunch. They got back into their truck and headed back to Kentucky. That's the testament of a true friend. I have a quote, Eleanor Roosevelt. "Many people walk in and out of your life, but only true friends leave footprints in your heart." Jimmy was one of them. Thank you.
Hi, folks. I'm what's left of John Williams. I don't know what I'm going to say after listening to these friends. But let me tell you a little something about a 42-year friendship that I had with one of the greatest guys I ever knew. And boy, I too have got to look up a few things in the dictionary. So I went to the Merriam-Webster College Dictionary that I never used when I was in college. And I looked up the name of the word friend. And Mr. Webster defines it as a person whom one knows well, an ally, a supporter, a sympathizer. Jim Herbener was all of these and more, told John Williams. For 42 years, we were brothers. He was a quiet man, but he had a jocular side to him that you had to know him really to appreciate it. From this day on, I will always think of Jim calling me and saying, "Okay, how'd your year go? You gonna be picking up walnuts again?" And every time I go over a damn walnut, I think of Jim. We came from Virginia and Maryland. We had 100 miles of Chesapeake Bay that separated us. He was at the mouth of the bay, and I was up closer to the Severn River. But this estuary we both loved and appreciated. and mutually felt terrible with what our generation and the generation before us have done to that estuary. But I'll get away from that. He was in Virginia with Kathy, and I was in Maryland. We didn't know each other until he came to work for a consignment we had at Spendthrift Farm that Bill Graves brought Jimmy Herbener to this sale. Now, that was in '78, I think. And so we struck up a great friendship. And then after I left Spendthrift, Jim was with us with Eaton Williams, and we had wonderful showmen then, and we had wonderful fun times at the sale. Now, we were all business, and if you knew my old partner, Lee, you know we were all business, but we had fun too. Afterwards, Lee would go out to eat at Cracker Barrel someplace, and we'd go eat at some nasty old joint and drink beer and have good times, or the Spite and Dival just to test it out up at Saratoga. And so Jimmy, he knew how to have a good time. Jim was among an almost, a disappearing last group of horsemen, those that actually wanted the company of the horse, wanted to be with the horse every day, wanted to know how he smelled. I don't care what horse it was, whether it was a mare or a foal, a yearling, or even the teaser. Yep, Jim Herbener was like these old timers. We still use teasers. He was really old school. He was a quiet man, but he loved a good joke and he loved telling a bad one. He shunned attention. Those of you that knew this man, maybe not as well as some of us knew him, but you didn't have to know him deeply. But he was a man that did not sell his horses. He spoke through his horses, the way they were prepared for sale, the way they were brought to a breeding shed, with their manes pulled just right, with 2 inches of bridle path, not 10, with their forelocks not in their eyes, with their feet painted, with their docks clean. He was a perfectionist. He let his horses do his talking for him. He was proud of the way he raised his horses, but he was so proud of his son and daughter, and then his wonderful son-in-law, Patrick. And then from that marriage, the 4 wonderful grandchildren that he loved. We called him Jimmy or Jim, but the name he loved the most was Papa Jimmy. His grandchildren called him. He prepared horses differently than most of us do now. He was so old-fashioned, and I admired that so much in him. He didn't have a walking machine or any mechanical devices. He lunged his horses on the end of a lunging ring, on the lunging strap. And he knew exactly how far to go with them, when to stop, when to go the other direction. He could tell the horse was telling him when to back off, when to go, when they needed a day off. Truly a wonderful way to prepare a horse. And any of you that have seen his yearlings at the sale know that he had no equal in the way they came to a sale from that old-fashioned way of preparation. He taught a horse how to lead from his shoulder. He could bring a horse in front of you as he would lead the horse to you and have him stop dead perfectly in front of the prospective buyer, and how he would get down on the end of that shank and almost disappear, the old type horse showman. Jim and Kathy, I mean, you can't it was almost as if Jim Cathy that was a hyphenated word. They were inextricably linked. You can't say Jim without Cathy. I took a picture, and I don't know where this thing is now on my phone. Maybe it's gone. But I have this picture of the day that we sold the last mare from the Herbener farm. That was tough for Jim to call me and say, look, you know, we've got to do something. We've got to back off on this a little bit. And I don't know how I'm going to say this to you, but, you know, I'm just not going to be taking any outside horses now. Not that Cathy and I are not going to have mares, but we've got to start backing this down. You know, the help situation was getting rough. But anyhow, I've got this picture of the mare that we had, and this says Jim/Cathy. And I don't know if you can see it, but Jim is on the near side, the off side of this mare, and he's got a gentle ear pulled down. As Cathy, on the other side, is trimming those ears. And if you could see the expression on Jim's face, and those of you that knew him, that expression was permanent on his face. He knew what he had there with this mare. He knew he had a toughie. He didn't jerk that ear down to her nose. He had just enough to take care of his dear Cathy. Gosh, I can say so much about him, but I've got to back up a little bit here. And Jimmy, he patterned himself after no one. He didn't want to. He was never concerned about the other guy, the guy in the back of the barn. The other consigners, how they were preparing their horses, how they sold their horses. His job was to present his horses as best he could for his client or for he and Cathy. And then he had no update stickers. He didn't get in your face and tell you about the winner in the third dam here. He had no sales pitch, but he was there ready with all the information you would ever need should you ask him a question about a horse you were interested in. He didn't go shoving it in your face, but it was there. Jimmy had little interest. Oh, I wanted to tell you. I always loved this. He was the last guy I remember to drive these damn Imperatory vans. I tried to convince him that a horse does much better in a gooseneck. They like it better. They ride better. No. I like that van. Like that van? He bought 3 of those damn things. When one would break down, he had another one. Jimmy had little interest beyond being a real good horse farmer. That's what I like to refer to those of us that raise horses. We're farmers, you know. We turn grass into horse flesh. But he did have a newfound interest in hunting. Now, I stopped doing that when I left Maryland in 1976. But Jim started this, and he did it with Heather. Heather became a great shot. There's a picture of her holding a possum by the tail, you know. You know that picture, don't you, Heather? And Patrick. And he found a new world of friends that love him as much as we do in the horse business. We think we're the only. He was infectious with how he would attract friends without even opening his mouth. Another thing that he really enjoyed, he had a special spot on that farm. And one day I was down there, and he said, "Come on, jump in the truck. I'm going to show you something." So we go in the truck, and we go to the back part of the farm, and there's this beautiful pond with trees behind it, and he had a dock built And he said, and you know, he didn't say anything. I'm looking at this thing, and I'm doing all the talking. I went down to see Jimmy last week, talked to him. I went down to the cemetery, and like all of our conversations, it was only me. But so he said to me at the pond, he said, you know, we need to get on this dock at the end of a day and have a little bit of that brown water and just talk about those old times. I said, yeah, Jim, we do. This is beautiful. He said, I thought you'd like this. Maybe it was his Chesapeake Bay, you know. Well, he asked me to do that several times. And I always put it off. And that's one of my regrets, that I didn't sit on that dock with him and have a little of that brown water, even that bad water that he drank. But someday I hope I'll be able to sit on a heavenly pond and have that drink with this guy. Now I'm just beginning to realize what a void I have in my life without this wonderful man. He and I had a bond of friendship forged over many years that not just lasted, it grew steadily. It was a real friendship. I could really help Webster in his definition. I really could, because I can expand on that because of Jimmy. We had many things that we enjoyed, but we had mutual respect. As Boyd said, nothing greater than respect. We had shared values. We had friends. My dad used to say, a man's wealth is measured in the friends that he has. Look how wealthy Jimmy Herbener is. So those of us that have lost this wonderful guy in our lives will take comfort in something that can never be taken from us, and that's our memories of him. We will take comfort in the memories of a man whose friendship lasted for his entire life with us.
We'd invite everybody to join us in the lobby for enjoy maybe a little brown water, John, or something else of your choice, and share some memories and stories with each other and help comfort each other and help comfort the family during this time. So thank you very much, and please join us in the lobby. Thank you.